I start this video, I want to say a very big thank you to all the people who have subscribed up until now. I am currently up to 60 subscribers, which is 40 away from where I want to be by the end of the year. I've been trying to think of something I could do once I reach 100 subscribers, and if I reach 100 prior to mid-August, I will take Shrimp on a day hike. She enjoys being outside, she likes playing with the bugs, she likes eating grass, and that's actually very good enrichment for them to have different experiences. And we have a fenced-in yard and a leash for her, so I will be able to walk her out on the trail without worrying about her getting away or getting hurt. So if that's something you want to see, make sure you subscribe and spread the word. And now on to the video. Welcome to today's episode. In this one, I'm going to talk to you about some of the preparation I have done for the trail. Not necessarily physical stuff, but books that I have read or YouTubers that I have followed along in their journey. So the first one that I have is Chicas on the Appalachian Trail by Beck Seymour. I also read their other book that she wrote with her husband, Greg Seymour, Thru-Hiking the Appalachian Trail. I had this one on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy of that. This one's also kind of sad because it has a inscription for Janet, who I guess was supposed to hike the trail this year. Not sure if she gave up on her dream or decided she didn't need this anymore, but the other book that she wrote with her husband is more of like an overarching, this is what you should expect on your trip. And I thought that was really helpful. This one is more focused on women, obviously. The first half of the book talks about tips and tricks. Some of it is regurgitated from the other book, but it goes into like your sleeping pads, talking about the shelters and other gear, making connections on the trail, wildlife, hygiene on the trail, all of that kind of stuff. And then the second half of the book is conversations with women who have hiked the trail. They talk to Celia, whose trail name was Crayola, Swiss Miss, Liz Kidder, known as Handstand, and Erin Bogart, name is Tenacious. That's just a few of them in the book. I think both of these are really helpful and interesting. They also have a YouTube channel where they documented several of their hikes, if that's something you're interested in. Next, I have The Appalachian Trials by Zach Davis. This book goes into more of the psychological aspect of the trail, because being physically prepared for the trail is important, but being mentally prepared is also necessary. You're going to be away from your family for several months. It's going to be hard. You're going to be out in the rain. You're going to be in the snow, in the heat, and you're not really going to have your family with you. So there's lots of things that can mentally go wrong, and it's important to know what you could be getting into before you get on the trail. Next, I have How to Hike the Appalachian Trail by Chris Cage. This is another one that just talks about how to go about hiking the trail. This book has food nutrition with some recipes in it. Talking about gear again, and this one has little facts about each of the states, which I thought was interesting, and this one is also from a southbound perspective. Going northbound is the more popular route, but there are some people who do go southbound every year. And obviously I have the AT Guide 2020. I probably should have waited to buy this, but I was really excited, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll use that when I hike, and I have not really hiked that much. But this one, this is the northbound, let me get this real close, northbound and southbound mileage, and then it'll give you like what's at that area, and then the elevation, and then it also physically shows you the elevation with this line here, which is pretty interesting. It also has little maps of some of the towns. This is where you'll find like shuttle drivers and food places and shelters and all that kind of stuff if you're not using Gut Hook, or if you're using that with this. From what I've heard, this is better for in-town stuff. Guthook is better for on-trail stuff. This one is Hiking from Home by Juliana Chauncey. I've actually not read this one yet. I haven't had the time to, but this one is obviously for helping family and friends who might be worried about you going on a long distance hike. So I'm hoping this one is useful and I will eventually get around to reading it. The last two books that I have are Ultralight, Backpacking Tips, and Backpackin book. And these are by Mike Clelland and Alan O'Bannon. So I have not read this one yet. I read this one because I thought some of the tips might be helpful since you do put a large pack on your back and that's going to affect your joints because it's not used to having the weight in that position. But honestly, I was a little annoyed with how obsessive ultralighting seems to be. If you like ultralighting, absolutely do it. That's your choice. It's just not for me. But one of the tips they have is to like take this little thing off. Like that's gonna save you an extraordinary amount of weight. So I haven't gotten into this one yet. This one is more of general tips, not specifically ultralight. But I can read some of the tips. Sew your headlamp right onto your hat. Practice leave no trace camping, which is good. Pick up other people. The camera died in the middle of that, which is great, but here's some stuff that this other book has. Talks about like hiking techniques, compasses, tarp pitching, water treatment, all that kind of stuff, kind of general, like I said. I downloaded a lot of podcasts intending to listen to them, but I only got around to some of them. So here's the list that I've got so far. Backpacker Radio, Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, National Park After Dark, which isn't like a hiking thing, but it's interesting. Out Alive from Backpacker, Out and Back, Park Predators, Returning to Katahdin, Section Hiking the Appalachian Trail, Sounds Like a Search and Rescue, the Appalachian Crime Trail, Training for Trekking, Show of Correspondents, and Walking and Talking. So my goal is to listen to some of them, but I haven't gotten around to all of them because there's a lot of podcasts that I've decided I like. Lastly, a lot of the information I've been getting is off of YouTube from people who have done the hike before. Originally, I watched Following Redbeard's videos. After deciding that this was something I was interested in, he was, I guess, the first one whose videos came up. So I decided to watch his journey. And then last year in 2020, I watched Hiking with Braids videos. This year I followed Taylor, the New Hampshire hiker. She's actually finished the trail at this point. Silva's Outdoors Adventures is another one I'm following. She's actually off trail for an ankle injury right now. Shaker Hikes is still on the trail. He, I believe, is somewhere in Massachusetts, but his videos are delayed back in New York. So he should be finishing up probably within a couple months. And Backyard Trail Tales is the last vlogger that I'm really following. He is hiking with his dog, and they are currently in Virginia, I believe. They've also stopped because Liberty is having some issues with her feet. But they should be getting back on trail very shortly. So that is what I have been doing to try to prepare myself for this. As I've said before, I am trying to get out hiking. I'm hoping to get some overnights in Shenandoah soon. And I'll see you next week.